Chester County blows $13 million on coronavirus tests, and Opendoor is going public and is valued at $4.8 billion. We'll break it down next on Toole Time. So we are back on Toole Time, rivaling BNN, the latest real estate show that's out there. We'll talk about that in a second. We got some interesting stuff going on here. I'm Tom Toole. She's Jess Lion. So this first story, this is insane to me.
It's a mess.
This is a waste of money. So Chester County spent $13 million on coronavirus antibody tests, and then they shelved the program. What do you think about all this?
Well, it's saying that the tests were sold to them from this biotech company that has a lot of political views, and of course, politics is mixed into it, and that just says corruption from a mile away. But they didn't use so many tests. They now have to tell 6,000 people that their tests are potentially wrong, most likely wrong. How can you tell 6,000 people that your test is wrong? And they've been living their life a certain way since they got this test based on that result. If I was given a positive test result, I would be living my life in a very different way if I was given a negative test result. So it's just $13 million is also, not a small amount of money.
Well,
especially for Chester County.
Yeah, well, for anybody, really. And, that's at the local government. And you bring up a good point there that, if you test positive for antibodies, you probably feel a little safer going out in the world. Yeah. You've survived the virus, so that's a really good observation on your part. And then what I also know is that so there's 57,000 tests that remain unused. 13,231 of them, they were administered, and then they gave another 8,678 to nursing homes. So they used, we'll call it 22,000. There's 57,000 they didn't use. So that's 75% of the tests they bought out of 13 million. If you carry the one, you do the math. That's a lot of wasted money. You're talking about 9 million plus in wasted funds there on tests that are sitting on a shelf somewhere when there's businesses that are hurting right now. There's small businesses closing their doors. That could have been given to small business aid, small business loans. Chester County had a program for that on top of the PPP and everything else the government did. So, what I see here is another mistake by the government, another problem with this pandemic where they blew money. And meanwhile, there's people that are still furloughed and still don't have jobs, whose businesses have failed. So it's really unfortunate to see that, especially when people's kids are still at home, people are having to pick with, do I work or do I educate my kids? There's a lot of challenges right now, and to blow $9 million plus on tests that are sitting in a shelf somewhere in Chester County is a joke.
This is not the time to be dropping the ball, and I feel like it's been dropped and dropped and dropped.
Well, I'm surprised this story just came out. This came out, the past couple days here. Where's the news on this? Because I think that there's this push to get tested, and people just don't want to do it. And you buy all these tests, but then if you need someone that needs a quick turnaround on a test, not an antibody test, but if you had the virus, it's impossible to get one. There's people that need to get surgery and get tested for this stuff. They have a need for it, and they can't get a test quick enough. But then they have this $9 million of tests sitting somewhere, on a shelf, and it's the wrong test.
That's
ridiculous.
Insane. Absolutely insane. If I were living in Chester County, I'd be up in arms about this.
Well, we work in Chester County, or at least we work in a lot of counties.
We work in
That's
a lot
one
of counties,
of them.
yeah.
It's a problem, and I think that's the biggest problem here is what the government's been doing and making so many mistakes. It's a lot of money to blow. So disappointing decision there that these things aren't getting administered, or there's not a push to administer them, because if the tests are wrong, that's a problem. They could. People could benefit from some additional antibody tests, and they're sitting on a shelf somewhere. It's just disappointing. A lot of people
don't know that they can just go and get a test either. I feel like there's not that broadcast of, hey, you can get tested right now. That needs to be a thing too.
I don't know. This is just one more issue with this. The pandemic here as we move into month 7, and it's been unfortunate. So, I guess I don't even know what to say about this. If I blew $9 million of somebody's money,
Bridget would kill you.
Well, not only that, imagine we did that for one of our clients. And these people
God.
have jobs to do as government officials.
Yeah.
So. That's a major problem.
Yeah.
So another disappointing effort by the local government here. Way to go, guys. Let's keep up the streak. Maybe we can go a whole year with these mistakes. So anyway, Interesting story. This one's a little more intriguing. So, Opendoor, the housing platform that's out there where they'll buy your home sight unseen, so it's an iBuyer. Recently, Chamath Palihapitiya, who you may know from Virgin Galactic, he spearheaded taking the company public via an SPAC, which is basically like a reverse IPO. So what that means is that they will, it's a special purpose acquisition company where they take these successful companies that are like private and they're kind of a unicorn company and that they have a ton of revenue they're generating. They're doing really well and taking them public. And Opendoor is now valued at $4.8 billion with a B. Very big news here. And there's been a lot of this stuff kind of creeping back into the market now that we're past the shutdown. Zillow just opened in their 25th market for Zillow Offers, which is a similar sort of program. What do you think about all this, Jess?
Well, I'm super excited about it. One of my friends actually texted me about it the other day when all this news came up. So a lot of consumers, like the average consumer, is paying attention to this kind of thing and can see where Zillow and where Opendoor is headed in just making everything a real streamlined, almost like a one-stop shop kind of process, like online. Like, especially with the pandemic, I feel like everybody wants to go on their computer and order some toilet paper, and now they're going to be able to start the process of buying or selling their home like the Opendoor does. So I think it's an amazing move. This guy invested in like Facebook and all these huge companies, so I don't see this being like something that could potentially fail. I think it's pretty much Zillow and Opendoor are right up in there, like leading the way for this whole like digital buying your home online, selling your home online.
Well, what I know is that, I mean, this has been something we've been talking about a while, that there's this war going on in real estate right now, and it's like tech versus like your traditional brokerage, right? And there's some people that just stick their head in the sand. They don't want to believe it, and they think these companies are just going to go away, and it's not happening. The consumer wants this kind of transaction. They want to be able to, I mean, there's people, and I've actually talked to people like this, where they just want to sell, and they don't want to deal with the hassles of going through like inspections and all these other hurdles they have to get through. With Opendoor or with Zillow Offers, they'll buy your home. There might be like a little bit of a renegotiation, but it's like, hey, you can have an offer right now on your property. And for some people, that's going to be better for them. I mean, you think about like estates where the executors like across the country, right? Someone that's in a financial spot just needs the money. Like, I mean, there's things that happen. They need to tap the equity in their home. Or it's just they want to get out. They want it over with. Not everyone's going to try to maximize the return on their property, and that's where these companies are a real threat to real estate. And this is what consumers want. They've been wanting this for a long time. And to me, this is where real estate agents need to like get their head out of the sand. They need to realize what's going on and that these companies are a real threat. And you have to communicate your value even more so because this is an option. Now, in the Northeast, I think it's going to be a little different because Opendoor and Zillow Offers, they're not in our market yet because the properties up here are a little more complicated to buy. You got more inspection issues. There's unseen damage. I mean, how many times have you seen a great home and then the inspection is like a disaster because it hasn't been maintained? So the age of properties is definitely an issue up here. A lot of places where these markets are, it's like Florida, Nevada, Texas, those sort of California. So I don't know that, I mean, they probably have plans to come up here, but it's going to take a little longer. So that's another thing you have to kind of be aware of.
I feel like you have to, as a realtor, either kind of get with it or get lost kind of thing. You're going to be left in the dirt. And we talk about this all the time. Yeah, you do need to show your value, but there's going to be a certain type of customer who this is right for, right? I mean, they're not going to be able to nail it every time online. And some people want the extra attention and the human interaction and things like that. But then there are people like millennials and younger who are going to be buying houses and selling houses down the road who want things just as fast as they can do it on their phone. So this is the way.
No, I mean, people want to press a button and buy a home. I mean, they're at that point. And then a lot of times, I mean, you look at what happened during the pandemic, right? Like the showing was happening after the people bought homes. We sold 12 homes in April, which you couldn't do anything. And they were all done virtually, some drive-bys, which was fine. And, you know, then they looked at the home afterwards. They were able to get in after restrictions were lifted. And we sold homes in May and in March, too, during these circumstances. So buyers tend to be okay with that. And also, there's not much out there right now, so they kind of know, like, I want to be in this neighborhood. This might be my only shot for the next 2 years.
Something pops up, buy it.
Yeah, and so it's, you know, this is where, you know, the tech's going to continue to disrupt real estate. more of these companies are going to come in. They all want a piece of the pie. And, as realtors, if you're watching this, you better get in tune with what's happening, because there's a lot of you, I know in our marketplace, have no idea what's going on. Mm-hmm. And, they're going to be put out of business. I mean, that's
getting
just the
to
way
the point where the consumer, or like just any average person, knows more than some of the realtors
Yep.
do, which is crazy.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That happens in any industry too. I mean, but I think real estate specifically, there's been a lack of disruption in real estate for a long time, and now all these VC companies like Chamat or VC investors or whomever, they're coming into the space, and it's only going to happen more and more.
Yeah.
I remember I actually saw Richard Barton, the CEO of Zillow, speak, and he said, "Hey, Opendoor is a threat for a lot of real estate companies." Like, he identified it right off the bat. So for that reason alone, I mean, that's someone who runs one of the companies that's competing with them and said, "Hey, Opendoor is a threat."
Yeah.
That tells you what you need to know.
And watch. Cool.
All right, so interesting. There's another show out there I want to talk about real quickly. So it comes from the Broke Agent and I guess the Eric Fisher team or some guy out in California, Broke News Network. Apparently they don't like realtors who hustle. So, Jess, what do you think about all this?
They're actually very funny.
Hysterical.
I think they should start their own. Well, they do. They have their own comedy show basically instead of selling real estate. But I think that I don't agree at all. He's like, I don't want my realtor to be my dietitian and my life coach and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need to see that either, or I don't need them to be that. I don't need my realtor to be that, but I want to see it. I don't want to see my realtor like being lazy. I want to know that like they can get up in the morning, they can do 5,000 things and then go to work and sell 300 houses a year and be on the ball like that. Like, yeah, that's the kind of realtor I want to work with. That's the kind of person I want to be. So I don't want to hang out with losers. That's pretty much it.
So Eric, Jess does not want to hang out with you if you didn't get the message here very clearly. Although we'll probably hang out next time we can travel in like 2028 or whenever that's going to be. You bring up an interesting point. I mean, there are a lot of lazy realtors out there, and I think what he's saying here, and I love because this is definitely like high-level satire. Like, This is very smart stuff. There's a lot of agents out there that like they're living that like Instagram life, right? Like they're like, oh, we're doing this,
the
we're
money
doing
to
that.
the ear kind of thing.
Yeah, or they're I'm out hustling and doing all that sort of stuff, and they're really just doing a whole lot of nothing. And that's like most people, in my view. I think there's definitely a culture of that going on right now. He put a picture of me up on the show, which I was like very honored in some ways, because honestly, the only reason I do that is because it keeps me accountable to not being a fat ass. So that was the main reason, Eric. So, but keep doing that show, man. Hopefully we can get on there soon. Maybe we can get you on our show. I think BNN is hysterical. So
I don't want to hang out with losers, but I want to hang out with funny guys, and they seem pretty funny.
I don't know. You're gonna have to make a choice there because it might be.
I think they're cool.
All right. What do we got for motivation?
So I have a quote off of Instagram yet again.
We're just talking about living that Instagram life. This is a perfect segue.
And it is by John Assaraf, and I was looking him up, and he's basically like a motivational speaker. But less of who he is and more what the quote is. The secret to having it all is believing that you already do.
Well, so that's a really interesting thing, because there's a lot of people, they like chase these like material things in life. Like they want this certain kind of car, or they're chasing things. They don't even know why they want them in a lot of cases. And a lot of times where the most value comes in your life is looking what you have around you. Like you're surrounded by great people that you work with, or you have a great family, or you're in a spot where like, hey, I live in this town and I really like it. And it doesn't have to be like, I mean, you have a life where you're able to, go do the things you want to do when you're healthy. I mean, a lot of people don't focus on that stuff enough, and it's what's next, what are we getting to, or I want what the other person has. Mm-hmm. And to me, what I like about this is that a lot of people need to express some gratitude for where they are right now. I mean, it's been a crazy 6-7 months, and if you're not grateful for what you have going on, I mean, we say this all the time. We're grateful to be working right now. Like literally work. Like most people will not say, I don't know what that means. I'm
blessed
not very
up means like, yes, like we're
okay.
Blessed.
Thank you. So I got confused. But like, I'm grateful we're working right now, and a lot of people aren't. And I say that all the time because we weren't able to do, like, we were working, but it wasn't like business as usual, and it still isn't. But we're able to do the things we need to do
We're very
to help
lucky.
people. But I mean, I'm super grateful we can work. Like, I mean, we were the most restricted state in the country. It was crazy. So that alone rings very true to me.
Yeah, and you are like the king of gratitude. You show a lot of gratitude. But to me, when I see this, the secret to having it all is believing you already do. I feel like you can easily go down the road of, I will be happy when I have this, or I will be happy when I have it all. And like live down that or go down that path and you will just never be happy. I think it's more of a you need to live by the this is what I have and this is what I can do. Just more of a positive mindset like that. And you're right. Being grateful for what you do have just puts you in so much of a better place to go and accomplish other things.
Sometimes it's better to be on the ride and enjoying it than figuring out where the destination is.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good one too.
I don't know. We'll do that one next week, right? Catch you guys next week, everybody. Thanks.